Just finished up, a bulk of the preparation for Stanford. As you can imagine, there was a lot of work to prepare for this team, this opponent. They're outstanding defensively, requires us to really be on our game in so many facets, running it, throwing it, yeah, and finding ways to put points on the board. And I don't even want to get into playing mistake-free, because that's a given. You have to play mistake-free, to put points on the board against a great defense. Offensively, pro-style offense, but some matchup issues, right? Devin Kajust is a difficult matchup issue for us that we're going to have to address. Especially in the red zone. He's a guy that concerns us. And I think we all know about Ty. I mean, he's, one of the guys that we have to stop offensively. So, Hogan's a guy that concerns us running the football, especially on third down. My point being is that there was a lot of things situationally that we had to go over today. I thought we got them accomplished. And, another day of cleaning up some things, and guys are excited about playing Stanford. Questions?
I asked you about how Everett's initial response was. How was he in practice this week, and is there a tendency to maybe him put too much on his shoulders, or is there no such thing with him?
No, I think that his practice this week was that he was very cognizant and aware of the things that he needs to improve on. He certainly understands, that he can't turn the football over. Did we see that in practice? I don't know. I want to read into too much where he didn't throw a ball where maybe he would have thrown it, before, that he's, overly cautious. I wouldn't say that, but he's very aware that he has to be on top of things. And I think that's as a coach, that's what you want from your player. You don't want a guy who's just laughing it off and saying, well, that won't happen again to me. He was very concerned about it, and I thought he was on top of it.
Brian, 2 years ago, you kind of openly challenged your players, and especially the offensive line, that they had to raise a level of physicality against Stanford. With the young team, a couple years later, because of the opposite side of scrimmage or both sides of scrimmage, is that the case again, where you have to let them know, drill down, that this is a different level of physicality?
Yeah, I think that they're quite aware, because of Stanford's reputation and tradition of success, that they're pretty aware of that. Certainly, we've talked about it. There's a sense that everybody in this room knows what to expect from Stanford. So I didn't have to drill too deep, to get that message across to our guys. They know the physicality of this game. It's because Stanford has done it year in and year out.
Part of the growth of the program too. That was kind of the launching point in 2012.
Yeah, we got pushed around in my first year here, and we have now, battled back, if you will. We still have, we have not come out on the right side of that battle yet, but clearly we feel like we match up in the matter of being physical. Now we've got to be better on that one given Saturday.
How did Amir come through the week?
Surprisingly, very well. I don't know that I thought he would be this. I thought he'd be more like Torrey Hunter, where we know we'd have him back, but as you could see, Torrey wasn't 100%, but he was certainly good enough to contribute. He looked pretty close to where he was before he got injured, so that was a good sign.
I was listening to some of the defensive players about thing orders, blitz packages, and how he takes something that seems so chaotic and reduces it to something simple to teach it. Could you speak to just his teaching style a little bit, how he gets something very complicated to be very simple?
I think in teaching great educators are great communicators. He's a wordsmith in a sense that he can use words that identify the game easily for these guys. So, and he uses current terms. I don't want to give too much away, but a couple of our blitzes are current players. He's able to use words that really get the kids' attention, and I think good teachers, good educators at all levels, it's not what you know, right? It's what they know, and he does a very good job of using those words to describe what he's trying to put together.
When it comes to blitzing, is there a knack? Do players have a knack for being good at that, or is that always a taught thing?
I would say, generally speaking, that when you line them up, you get a first glimpse at those that have a knack for that. And then schematically, you can get some guys free. So I would say, first and foremost, there's clearly going to be a group of guys that have an ability to get to the quarterback. And then I think schematically, there are guys that have fast twitch that can get there if we can free them up.
Coach, you mentioned Torrey. How important was it last week to get him the ball, get him that touchdown, to kind of get him going?
I think it was very important for his confidence. I think to get in the game and to actually compete early was important for him, because you could see it happen this week. And happen meaning you could see his confidence come back and his cuts in and out of the break that weren't necessarily there last week were there this week. And so I think that, and I've said this before, I think confidence brings a lot of that along, and I think he picked up a lot of confidence in playing last week and playing well.
Which Torrey Hunter do you think has a bigger weekend?
Oh, Junior, for sure. He's got a huge weekend. I don't even know what the senior's doing. He should be watching his son play.
Brian, I know we talk a lot about Joe and Matias and kind of the intangibles they bring to the defense, but they've been all over the stat sheet this year. And just as pure football players, what do they bring to the defense?
Well, they're two different players. Joe is just a very smart, instinctive player. Matias is an energy guy. Doesn't have nearly the intuitiveness, if that's a word, that Joe has, but is a great morale guy, and can do a lot of things because he's smart. We ask him to do a lot of different things for us, different jobs, and his really makes his role is that, and that he can do a lot of different things for us, but they impact our defense differently.
I guess more just beyond, them being smart players, Joe positioning guys, more like Joe's second on the team in tackles. Matthias has, 1.5 tackles for a loss, the 2 picks, and just the kind of impact they make beyond just being sort of those smart football players.
Well, both of them represent this program in a manner that I'm proud to be their coach. That would be the first thing that I would say. I would put them out in front anytime, anywhere, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Those two kids are, what it's about, coaching at Notre Dame, to have those two kind of kids. So I think Matias is somebody that didn't play the game very much and, has a knack for finding the football in the air. But off the field, these are two just great kids.
Brian, getting back to Torrey Hunter, you had mentioned before he was healthy that he could play a couple different spots.
Yeah.
With Carlisle back.
Yeah, he's playing some X, so he's out on the given. We'd like to take Will's numbers down a little bit. His volume is ridiculously high, and if we think we can keep him fresh, we can get the ball down the field a little bit more to him. But we have to pick our spots because he has to play every play. So if we can get Torrey out there and take some of his reps down, we think that that's going to help us in the long run and really be able to push the ball a little bit more vertically with Will.
Brian, what kind of week did your offensive line have? And with Nick Martin, if need weren't factored in, what would be his best position?
Well, I mean, Nick's a very versatile player. Certainly, one could argue that the center position is his best position. He's dealing with a significant injury too. I mean, he's got a thumb that has 3 tears that it makes it a little bit more difficult for him in there. But I just think his versatility, here and at the next level, is guard center. He could play either one of those positions at the highest level. So it's a flip a coin at center guard for him. And I'm not saying we moved him because of the injury, but it definitely makes it a little bit more difficult on him on a day-to-day basis.
Overall offensive line, how would you evaluate the week of practice?
It's work in progress for us every day. I mean, getting Elmer and Lombard communicating on the myriad of stunts and blitzes that we get with Stanford, that's Tuesday and Wednesday and Thursday. So it's getting there. It's not there yet, but we made some progress again this week, and I think it's something that, as long as we just stick with it, and we're not making any changes there, we just stick with these guys, they're going to be fine. They're going to get better each week.
Did you feel you made progress with that alignment last week?
Oh,
You were
yeah.
really good on 3rd and short.
Yeah, like I said, we had 7 consecutive runs that converted, and I couldn't be more pleased than having that kind of scenario unfold with 5 guys scattered back into different rotation. No, we made progress there. We got a ways to go, but we definitely made the progress that we wanted to. When we put the film on and finished it and talked about it again, all right, where are we? We took the step that we all felt when we left, said, okay, that's the step we wanted to take. We got some work to do, but that's the right step.
Coach, Cavari was pretty outspoken last night on Instagram about his frustrations over how everything's going. What's your reaction to? Obviously, these guys are in a tough spot.
Yeah.
Just waiting.
I mean, I feel for him, Again, I think that, my role in this whole thing is to, try to keep our guys together, the guys that are on the field. I can certainly understand how he could be frustrated, but hopefully we're nearing an end here, and we're hoping that we get him back soon. And again, I think it's for all those guys. I'm sure that it's pretty close for them to be able to say, hey, this is going to be behind us here real soon.
Are you frustrated?
I don't know that frustrated would be a word that I would use. I think for me, I feel for my players. You know what I mean? I feel bad for them. I guess that's the feelings that I have. They're missing significant amount of playing time. It's hard to give up, playing time. I know when I was in college, you miss a game, you felt when you're 18, 19, 20 year olds, that's catastrophic. So I understand what they're going through. I know it must be difficult. I feel for them. I wouldn't characterize my feelings as frustration. My focus has been on the group that I have. I think my frustrations are in that, the game and taking care of the football and all that stuff.
And any update on where we are in all this? I mean, he mentioned that he's done with his hearing.
Yeah, I think we're in that process today, tomorrow, and I haven't heard anything else other than I think we wrap this thing up here in the next 24 hours or so.
Do you expect to still get a resolution by the end of this week, or do you think it'll go into next week?
And I didn't talk to Cavari firsthand, but based upon the information that is secondhand, thirdhand, I don't have any firsthand information. It sounds like sometime next week with a decision.
Have you talked to any of the players who have been through the process?
I have not talked to any of the players directly that have been through the process. No, I have not.
Anything else?
Brian, any injuries pop up this week, and how's out of Collinsworth practice?
Collinsworth was good this week. Yeah, I liked the way he practiced. He was not tentative like he was last week. He should be able to help us. Nobody. I mean, we had a good week. I mean, we got our guys back that we need, obviously, in a position to go play Stanford. No excuses.
Coach, sorry, back to those 5 guys in the process. I guess as they're dealing with this frustration, would you have any words of advice to them while they're coping with that?
Yeah, I think I've given them all the best advice that I can, and that is, focus on your academics. I mean, because really, it's out of their hands. It's nothing that they can control. And they know that sitting in here with me. Control what you can control. They got a chance to go through the hearing, control what you can control in the hearing. And I think they've all done, what they can do. The rest will be decided. And like I said, I think we'll have a resolution here very real soon.
Coach, are you at all nervous about possible NCAA implications, or is that?
Really haven't given it much thought, to be quite honest with you. I think I commented earlier about, if they took games away or whatever, that doesn't really do much for me. I'm not too concerned about that. I know what my players represent and who they are, and so it really hasn't been something that I've given much thought of.
Thanks, everybody.
Good.